What would you regard as essential skills required from translators for efficiency to work in an office?
Well, I think that both for translators that are freelancers or that work in the office, it is essential for them to be organized and flexible. I mean, their profession will involve establishing priorities and when they have to deal with different tasks. So the organization, both in their files, their references, even their email inbox is essential. I think that's things that they will learn in the office and they will learn in the professional real world, and it's very important, besides of course all other skills and competence that we expect from a translator. But I would say establishing priority, being organized and being flexible in the organization of their work is essential for the market.
Apart from the obvious soft skills like flexibility and being able to prioritize, which competencies that we compile in the framework of etransfair will be the most useful for your recruits in your translation office?
Well, that is a difficult question because I believe that all the competences that you have listed are very important, and we would expect a translator to have all these competences. If I have to choose one, I would maybe say translation and language competence, because probably the rest can be developed throughout the professional life and can be learned. But the translation competence and language competence should be already acquired in the training institution.
Having established that translation and language skills are the most important for translators, if you look at the list of competencies, which are the ones that training institutions should focus on more, perhaps, and which are the ones that translation offices could teach according to records?
Well, I believe that besides the general training and translation training in the institution, I think that training institutions should maybe insist more in developing skills such as information mining, looking for references and being able to apply them correctly. And of course, I also insist on that teaching them or transmitting them the habit of reading. The translator should be reading all his or her life, should read newspapers in the language pairs or in his or her languages, and that's essential. I should read books, magazines, newspapers, other reference materials, and I think that's a habit that can be acquired in the training institution. On the other part, in the office, I think they will learn one of the most important things in our work today, which is to work under pressure, to work within a team, to respect very hectic schedules, and to respect deadlines. To respect deadlines means that you need to program yourself to finish your work at least, I would say, 1 hour before the deadline.
Most translation offices offer internship for students, and this is a very big cooperation scheme between higher education institutions and translation offices. Can you suggest any other schemes or any cooperation scheme ideas which could be a good opportunity to work together for higher education centers and translation offices?
Well, first of all, I think that the internships for students are an excellent idea. We regularly have interns in the company, and in fact we have hired some of them, and we are very, very happy with this kind of programs. But I would suggest, as maybe a new idea, a new experience, is to have teachers do an internship of, let's say, 1-2 weeks in translation companies, so that they know firsthand what the market expects from their students, and they can transmit that in the class.
Could you please highlight any characteristics of the Spanish market which could be a good opportunity for us to learn?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that the Spanish translation industry has undergone a great transformation in, let's say, the past 10 to 15 years, with now a more professional and quality-oriented approach. However, there is still a lot to be done regarding the education of clients, and especially when dealing with public administrations. Public tenders have come to a point where it's almost impossible to bid because of the price reductions we are seeing in the market. And in this sense, I'm glad to say that the EU ATC has just published, or is going to publish, vademecum on good practices for public administrations in translation bids. We hope we can make this public in Spain also, and have public administration be aware of the importance of quality translation, professional translation, and stopping this price dropping that never stops.
What kind of aspects should be considered in order to ensure high quality products and processes?
Well, of course, you have the quality procedures, you have your quality manuals, and we could speak about thousands of things that you have to consider and that are more or less technical. But I think what is essential is that it really comes from the heart, that you believe in it and it's embedded in the organization. You need all the staff to be convinced of the advantage of having a good quality management system. And then, of course, be very strict on the qualifications of the professionals you work with. I think that's essential, on having clear procedures that are lively also. I mean, you need to be able to analyze the issues, the claims, the problems that arise within your system, and be always ready to change so that you achieve continuous improvement. But really, I mean, you have to believe in it, you have to be involved, and if you want the staff and the translators to be involved, it's very important that the management is involved in the system.
What are the most frequent challenges in quality management process?
I think that there is a big challenge in small organizations, in the sense that there is little room to take enough distance to analyze the problems. Very often you have a quality problem, you come to analyze it, but you know perfectly well who was a translator, who is a client, who was a reviser, and I'm not sure we can always be objective about the issue. So we would need, and maybe it's a very complex idea, but maybe it would be good when we get, for example, a customer complaint, to send it to another company to solve the issue, and collaborate between companies to solve these kind of issues. There is another problem in the companies, which is we have this slogan that the customer is always right, and the customer is not always right. I mean, very often you get complaints and you get quality problems that are nonsense. The client is not right, does not know what is going on, but to retain the client, to keep the client, you end up officially accepting that there is a quality problem and even reducing the price.
Which tools do you use for quality management?
Well, the first tool you always need to use for quality management is common sense, your brain, and training of your staff. In more technical terms, we have a proprietary information system for the whole organization and all processes, and this system allows us a very good tracking of the quality problems so that we get statistics, we can quantify in euros what was the impact of the quality problems, and it follows. We get a summary every day following the main KPIs we work with. And I think that's very important, that you constantly are measuring and following your key performance indicators to see if you're really within your objective, or you have to change something to correct that.
Which major challenges can you identify when it comes to revision and review processes in a translation office?
Well, I think that the main problem or the main issue is really to be able, the reviser is able not to retranslate, rewrite everything, and to be able to accept something that is correct, even if it's different from the way this person would have translated it. It's a very personal task. In our case, we only entrust revisions to senior translators. And what we really request and what a reviser should do is to be sure that the output is correct in all senses, to correct only mistakes and maybe improve style when it's really needed, and to make sure that there is consistency, that the terminology is right, that the register of the text is right, but not going further into doing a new translation.
Do you think that it is a good idea for higher education translation training institutions to differentiate between errors and alternative solutions? So we should correct our trainees' paper saying which qualifies as an error and which maybe only as an alternative solution?
Yes, I think it's very important to differentiate, and I think the student should be able to get that training and be able to do that, especially because they have to take into account that in the future they are probably going to do more post-editing of machine translation than real translation. And you have to be very careful there not to, you're going to be paid less. You cannot start translating from scratch. You really have to use the material produced by the machine and correct errors, make sense of the sentences, but not trying to redo everything from scratch.